big deals where it looks fairly small and benign up top, but there's a huge mass of hardened obstruction hidden beneath the surface. I don't think that hearing me spout off on the subject is really going to melt anybody's iceberg, but like I said from the outset, my role is to sit here and talk about the things I know about, not to get invested in outcomes. Maybe I'm planting seeds. Maybe I'm just inserting subroutines for later execution. Or maybe I'm just babbling in the wilderness. Who knows? Nobody knows anything. Is any of this making any sense? I ask her. Yes, kind of, she says. I think I feel like, I don't know, like something is wrong with me, like I have to keep, I don't know, struggling. Yeah, like nothing is good enough, like I have to become this, like I have to totally cleanse myself, purify myself, and until then I'm not worthy. She sighs. I guess. Like you're an outsider. Not like others, not valid. She visibly reacts to that. Not valid. So you feel like you're not a valid person, like you're not real, not like other people? You must feel terribly out of place almost all the time, like you don't belong anywhere. Is that how it is? You always feel like you're always outside, looking in? She is nodding and sobbing lightly. And so now you don't feel like you belong here either, because everyone here is in place and you're out of place. So you want to leave. Something releases in her. My whole life is like this, she says through tears and sniffles. I'm always an outsider wherever I go. I never fit in. The crying gets heavier now. Everybody else fits in. I'm not like regular people. I don't know what to do. I let her go on for a minute or two and get herself nice and cried out. No point in talking to her before then. I don't do a lot of personal counseling work like this has turned into. But what the hell? I actually have a soft spot for her problem. Cool, I say after she has calmed down a bit. Very cool. Huh? She asks. What's cool? Why? For 2 reasons, actually. What? She asks. Everybody is full of shit, Sarah, I say, and let it sit there for a moment before continuing. I don't mean that in a negative way, despite the sound of it. She giggles. I'm just saying that's the deal. It's built in. There's no alternative. Everyone is full of shit. By shit, I mean falseness, false beliefs, false perceptions, and the false personality that's based on them. It's like when you're asleep and dreaming. Your dreams are full of what your waking self would consider falseness, right? Not real? When you wake up, you see them as absurd fictions and wonder how you could have believed they were real while they were happening, right? I guess so. Well, enlightenment is really nothing more than that, waking up from a dream. You, me, here, now, it all seems very real and solid, doesn't it? So much so that the question seems absurd, right? She agrees. But isn't a dream the same way? Isn't it convincing when you're in it? Yes, she says. That's delusion. Exactly the same. This is the dream. The question is, who is doing the dreaming? And how do we wake up? How do we get real? That's what all this enlightenment stuff boils down to. It's about waking up and seeing what's really true. And to do that, we have to become progressively less asleep. We have to fight and scratch and claw our way to wakefulness. In the same sense, if you want to be more true, then the way to do that is by becoming less false, less full of shit. If you want to be less full of shit, then the way to do it is to go inside yourself with the spotlight of discrimination. Find the shit and illuminate it. Illumination destroys it. Lies disappear when you really look at them because they never had any real substance. They were only imagined. That's what you were doing just now, bravely shining a light inward, digging deeper. And that's cool. It's not easy, and it's not fun, but that's the process. That's how the good stuff happens. That's how icebergs get melted back into the ocean. Someone near the fire is playing with burning sticks, and I am reminded of a scene from the Peter Brook and Jean-Claude Carrier adaptation of the Mahabharata. While dancing with burning sticks, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, who fails to appreciate the absoluteness of the struggle they have embarked upon. To save Arjuna, Krishna has sacrificed a mighty and beloved ally, the magnitude of which Arjuna cannot comprehend. Yes, says Krishna, Ghatotkachka has saved you. To preserve your life, I sent him to his death. Tonight, I'm breathing in joy. I was born to destroy the destroyers, and I became your friend out of love for the world. What's the other reason? Asks Sarah. Huh? You said very cool for 2 reasons. Oh, because I know exactly what you're talking about, because I was exactly the same way. And I'll tell you what I wish someone had told me when I was feeling confused and alienated. I wish someone had told me that there wasn't something wrong with me, and that I shouldn't be trying to make it right. That I should stop trying to pound a square peg into a round hole. I wish someone had told me that I wasn't like everyone else, not because I was defective, but because I was designed for other things. Being different might seem like a curse, but the important part is that it's also a blessing. I wish someone had told me to stop trying to fix the curse part and start figuring out the blessing part. Does that make any sense to you? I guess it does, because she spends the next several minutes with her arms around my neck, releasing what feels like a lot of pent-up tears. When she has spent most of it, and we are able to converse again, her speech is noticeably less constricted, and her laughter seems genuine. As if a belt around her chest had finally been removed, and she was able to breathe freely for the first time in a long while. Cool. Chapter 27. Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her it is just as lucky to die, and I know it. I pass death with the dying, and birth with the new-washed babe, and am not contained between my hat and boots, and peruse manifold objects, no two alike, and every one good. The earth good, and the stars good, and their adjuncts all good. I am not an earth, nor an adjunct of an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. Walt Whitman. Chapter 28. Raw human things. The universe is the unity of all things. If one recognizes his identity with this unity, then the parts of his body mean no more to him than so much dirt, and death and life, end and beginning, disturb his tranquility no more than the succession of day and night. Zhuang Tzu. The next morning I'm up by 7. I shower and dress in a hurry, grab an apple on my way through the kitchen, and shoot out without anyone seeing me. I stowed my gear in the trunk before going to bed last night, so as soon as I'm in the car, I'm ready to go. I learned from a late-night internet check after the fireside chat last night that today's weather was expected to be picture-perfect, a rare occurrence for April in Iowa. So I made plans to take advantage of it. My skydiving equipment bag was already prepared for the season, so all I had to do was throw some clothes and a towel in a backpack, double-check to make sure I had my logbook and a few other odds and ends, throw it all in the trunk, and make sure the car wasn't blocked in by others so I could make a hasty departure this morning. And that's where I am now, making the 30-minute drive to my home drop zone on a morning that promises to be ideal for jumping out of airplanes. I might be Johnny Enlightened, but I'm not Joe Cool. I always have a nervous stomach on the drive to the airfield that stays with me until I exit the aircraft for the first jump of the day, and today is no exception. It's like a low-level dread. If anything, it's a little worse than usual today, because I haven't done any jumping since December, when I made it down to a drop zone, DZ, in Florida for a few days. After my first jump, I'm always fine for the rest of the day. It's nice to think that enlightenment lets you transcend emotions like fear at will. But as they say to the beginners in skydiving, if you're not afraid of jumping out of an airplane, there's definitely something wrong with you. Although I don't enjoy the fear, which manifests for me mainly as a grumbly stomach, I actually don't dislike it too much either, since it really has no specific element. I'm not, for instance, particularly worried about injury or death, so the nervousness is pretty much a low-level anxiety that's more in the gut than the heart or mind. Like I said, once you've made that first jump of the day, the anxiety is forgotten until the next time I make the drive. I've made approximately 100 jumps in 5 years, so it's not like I'm a hardcore skydiving enthusiast. I don't take part in relative work, where groups of jumpers create mid-air formations. I don't do canopy relative work, where stacked formations are created under open parachutes. I don't do swooping or any fancy landing stuff that requires high-performance gear. I don't do free flying or strap a board to my feet or wear a bird suit either, although I'd like to try a bird suit, which would turn me into a human wing and let me transfer much of the vertical energy into horizontal flight. I don't subscribe to the magazines or wear the clothes or go to the skydiving conventions, which are called boogies. Basically, I just like jumping out of an airplane 2.5 miles high and falling toward Earth at 120 miles an hour once in a while. It's like committing suicide, but changing your mind with a few seconds to spare. Just one of those raw human things. I also like getting away from the house and stepping out of the whole spiritual teacher groove for a while. Walking or biking, even by myself, doesn't get me out of it because my mind stays on it, keeps gnawing at the challenge of how to say things better, more clearly. But I can spend an entire day at the drop zone and not think about that stuff at all. Nobody at the DZ identifies me with anything out of the ordinary, like being rural America's contribution to the Illuminati shortlist. They just see me as a 40-year-old guy who likes to jump out of airplanes now and then, which doesn't raise any eyebrows there. I don't totally fit in, but it's an okay place not to totally fit in. I hang out between jumps and talk to other divers, and come the closest I ever get anymore to being part of something. I enjoy the drive. I open the windows and turn up the music and try to keep my mind off my nagging stomach. The day is shaping up nicely. Clear, warm days